Welcome to Simple Steps to Success, module number 7. Today's module is entitled Improving Your Speed of Learning. Today, information is being presented to us at exponential levels, and this is only going to increase. Most students are actually never taught how to learn. They're told what to learn, but they're never taught how to learn. And I believe that this is the reason why they face tremendous stress and pressure and feelings of overwhelm in most schools today. And it's not just happening in schools, even in the workplace, people are feeling a lot more stress and pressure to perform. So what I'm about to share with you today are my own thoughts and ideas that have helped me and my clients. They do not reflect the opinions of others. They're just my ideas to help you. And for best results, please follow these modules in the correct order. So today's objective is I am going to show you a 3-step approach to learn more effectively. And I believe once you learn this approach, you will be able to reduce the stress and the pressure that you feel. You will get much better results in school and in your professional life. You'll be more productive and more efficient. And you'll become much more relevant and important in the future. And the reason I say this is because being an effective learner is going to be one of the most important skills in the years to come. Because knowledge is going to be the new currency of the future. And the more valuable information you possess, the more important you will be in the future. So what I wanted to do is share with you a chart or a graph entitled the knowledge doubling curve. And you can see here from this graph that we are learning we are getting given information at an exponential level. So the highest that we've ever been given information before. The problem is we are still learning like we did in the early 1900s. And this is something that really needs to change if we are going to progress. The problem with the way things currently are in terms of learning is that it implies that the more information we acquire, the better. So the more information we get, the better. And I believe, again, this is why there is tremendous stress and pressure from most students today, because they're just not able to absorb all the information that's coming at them. And again, it's because the amount of information is growing at an exponential level. And most students are never taught how to determine what information is valuable or not. The second problem is that we focus only on putting information into our minds, and then we think we have knowledge. But the real problem is that unless we can effectively communicate and articulate what we know, people are going to assume that we don't have knowledge. And to be honest, this is actually quite disturbing because we spent 12 years in school, but we're actually never taught how to learn effectively. So once again, this is going to be something and a very important skill we need to learn for the future. So I actually came up with my own definition of knowledge. And I believe that knowledge is the ability to articulate valuable information when required to do so. It's also important to understand that the mind is very different to the way most people consider it. So we need to understand that the mind is like a muscle. So just like a muscle, we need to stimulate it, let it rest, stimulate it, let it rest, and do this repeatedly, and this is how we actually develop our knowledge. And the reason why we need to let the mind rest is the majority of learning happens at the rest stage. And this is why cramming actually doesn't help most people. And if I knew this growing up, I probably would have had a much better chance to do well in school and would have been able to organize my time much more effectively. So I'm going to share with you a more effective method of learning from my perspective. So the first thing you want to do is actually understand the purpose behind learning any material. So do you have to write an essay or a report based on the information that you're learning? Are you going to be asked questions on an exam? Do you need to do a presentation? You need to be very clear on your purpose of learning. And at this time, it is also very important to get familiar with the material as well, because that will help you for the next stage, which is called filtering information. I always joke with my students and I tell them that when you come to class, you should never come to class to learn. I'm going to repeat that. Never come to class to learn. And when I say this, I get a lot of weird looking faces staring at me. And the reason I say this is because what we need to do to get the most amount of information from a class is we need to really start paying attention to what is valuable and what is not valuable. The learning can happen later. So when you are in a classroom or you are being given information, what you really want to do is understand what is valuable and what is not. And based on the statistics that have been shown in terms of communication, 93% of all communication is nonverbal. So things like tone of voice, gestures, and time spent on concepts are really what you should be paying attention to in the classroom. You should also be paying attention to, when you're reading something, be paying attention to diagrams, charts, images, things have been written in bold, even headings. All these things are going to help you determine what is valuable and what is not. And then when you filtered, then you go to the next stage, which is what I call the review. And the review is pretty much being able to re-explain to yourself the valuable information that you have uncovered from the previous filtering stage. And what you need to do here is just do this within 24 hours. And in the long run, it's actually going to save you a lot of time, because when you do this within 24 hours, it takes that information from the short-term memory and brings it into the long-term memory so you can remember things weeks or even months later. It's also very important to practice articulating this information a few times, because remember, we are never tested on how much we know. We are tested on how well we can articulate what we know. It's a subtle difference, but it can make all the difference when you write a test or an exam, or when you're communicating or speaking to a group of people. I believe the benefits of learning in this way are tremendous. For example, if you just follow what I have explained to you right now, you will start to notice that your focus and your attention will go up. You will feel less overwhelmed. You will learn faster. Your memory will improve. You'll be more productive and more efficient. And also you'll be much better able to articulate yourself. So if you're a student, this is going to result in much better grades. And if you're a professional, this is going to result in better career opportunities. And also people will begin to see you as a leader because you can express yourself much better. Here's a quote from Oscar Wilde. And he says, "The public has an insatiable curiosity to know everything except what is worth knowing." So I like this quote because I think what we need to start doing is being able to determine what is valuable and not, and then we need to commit that to learning it. The problem today is most people think everything is important, and this is why they feel overwhelmed and stressed out, and they don't always do as well as they would like. So here is your exercise for today. What I'd like you to do is think of something that is very important for you to learn. And then what I'd like you to do is apply this new way of learning, which is knowing the purpose, filtering, reviewing, and articulating this information. And then what I'd like you to do is actually write down what you noticed from applying this new method of learning. I'd like you to consider things such as how quickly did you learn this material? How much did you retain? And also, how well were you able to communicate what you learned? So I'm just going to summarize what we did today. And today what we did is we talked about how to become a more effective learner. We said this is a very, very important skill for the future. I provided you with a new definition of learning, which I think will serve you well. And then we looked at 3 steps to learning, again, which is determining the purpose, being able to filter, and then being able to review and articulate this information. So thank you very much, and we will see you in the next module.